Hello, how y'all doing? I hope y'all having a blessed day. It's about 5:05 a.m. Sunday morning. Uh, I've been working doubles like crazy. Guys, I'm sorry I haven't been able to get out videos. It's been crazy, but I wanted to come on and talk about something that's really bugging me. I mean, really bugging me. As y'all know, in the Jack and Lily Sullivan case, the stepfather Daniel has taken a lie detector tests, which he can't remember the date he took it, which I don't understand that, but especially as nervous as he said he was, you would think that one would remember that date. And, how do all the lie detector tests start out, including FBI lie detector tests? How do they start out, guys? I think we know how lie detector tests start out, right? Usually with the name, date of birth, so they can get that pattern of when you tell the truth, what your body does. They usually ask you a few questions. Common sense, easy questions, right off the bat. It generates the truth detector, right? Is what I call it. And we're not getting that from Daniel. What do we get? First question asked is, did he unalive Jack and Lily? That is a big fat lie. They never ask you point blank straight out that question first off. If they did that, they would never be able to determine what your body does in the truth. To ask that question, the most important question in the entire investigation, they're going to ask that question first. I don't think any lie detector person in this world would ask that question straight out first. Everyone I've talked to. Now, maybe the one that he had done, not the law enforcement one, maybe the one where he controlled the questions, maybe that's possible. And then again, there's a lot of speculation going on about the mom's on the run, and the mom's not on the run. Law enforcement has not stated anything about this. This case, it's hard to even cover anymore because of the speculation. Yes, we know something's wrong. We know something probably most likely happened to these kids, but what is it? I'd said from the get-go that the mom could have possibly be a witness and be the one that, had got these kids out of there. I always thought that was a possibility, but I think by this point in time, if that would have been the case, I think they would have figured that out. I think there would have been a way to determine that. I'm just really shocked about that question because I just, him thinking he's not a suspect anymore. Dude, you're a suspect until these children are found and located. I'm sorry. Just like Sebastian Rogers, just like Summer Wells. You are not cleared until they clear you publicly. And that's not happened. And I don't see that happening. Not yet. Maybe when they find out where these children are and what happened and what transpired, then yeah, then maybe. But it's so funny how guilty people try to prove their innocence in so many ways that they think the public is uneducated. They think the true crime world is uneducated. I'm shocked that this man, if you call him that, really sat there on that stage and told that lady that he's not a suspect anymore. I was looked at in the beginning, yeah, I'm a stepdad. Dude, you're being eyeballed so sideways right now, there's not any more sideways. I mean, you're the one that stripped the right of your kids. You're the one that has to wait for visitation. And you're going to tell me you're cleared? If you were cleared, you would have visitation. It wouldn't be scheduled with somebody going to be there. You would be able to take her for the day or the weekend. So don't play that game. It's what's so funny about this guy is that he really thinks that he's been watching way too much social media is his problem. And you don't win social media over by continuing to lie. You don't win over support from law enforcement. Excuse me, I had to yawn. From law enforcement, like coming out here talking like this. I asked you in the beginning to be careful what you say out here. This is what's crazy about this case is that this could really go in a crazy direction. There's a possibility that this is just like Sebastian Rogers, like the stepdad's trying to cover for the mom, right? I think this also points that direction. Well, my parents kicked her out. Well, that. Was this all part of their plan? Some people think it is. Was it all part of the plan for their big sideways distraction? Hey, you leave, you take the baby. Hey, we'll deal with the consequences as we go, and then we'll meet back up here in 6 months or whatever the case may be. I don't know. It's just so hard because the grandma, the bio dad's mother, talks so highly of Malaya, and yet, of course, that all changed when she saw what these kids were living in, the conditions they were living in. So for this man, Daniel, to sit here and try to be a hero, and trying to be one that come out here with complete nonsense, telling us that your family kicked your own wife and child out of the home. Who does that? What grandma does that? And then lo and behold, you're not answering any questions about why you can't see your kids. You're not answering the question of why would they strip your rights before you even granted rights. Why you're not fighting for Meadow. Why you're not searching every day like you said you were going to search every day for the rest of your life. Why would you need to search every day for the rest of your life unless you know in your mind, in your heart, that these kids aren't going to be found? Well, if that's the case, then just come out and say it. But there's a reason you're not cleared, and I think that's the reason. You know more than you're letting out. And that's usually why you're not cleared. It's because you know more than you're letting out. This isn't like everybody, some people, I guess, they think, well, mine's a new case, so I'm a new person. No, it's the same routine, buddy. It's the same song and dance. You're not cleared till these kids are found. Doesn't matter. You were the last one to see them. They were in your house, on your property, in your trailer, with the loudest back door ever, but yet it's so quiet. With 0 dogs sitting in the backyard, but they went out the sliding door. But they never closed it behind them, but on that day they did. You try to tell us so many different things that don't add up for the kids' behavior. That rattles a big red flag in my head. And it makes me wonder, how are you not sitting in a cell somewhere right now? That's what that makes me wonder. Because kids don't just vanish. You know how hard it is for one child to vanish without a trace? It's almost nearly impossible for a child to vanish without a trace. Nearly impossible. And you're going to tell me, let alone this stepfather had 2 stepchildren that he cared for and treated like his own, vanish on his watch in a remote area where nobody's around and nobody can hear a peep, but yet these kids left and you didn't have a party the night before. Well, he told us it wasn't the gathering or nothing the day before. He didn't say that it wasn't Wednesday, like the neighbor first said. The neighbor first said the party was Wednesday, which was considered the school holiday. So by the way he answers his questions, I see that he really pulled for Thursday. In that question, he says there was no party the day before. He didn't say nothing about 2 days before. Right? Doesn't matter if we saw them on the first or not, or if they were seen in the first or not in public. If the party was on Wednesday, something could have been started then. I don't know. I don't know. I know one thing. That mother needs to speak. Because right now, she's either playing this one or two ways. Either very, very smart or very, very dumb. Very, very smart in a way of staying shut up, which that's always every lawyer's advice. Shut your mouth, right? She's doing that because she did lawyer up. But why would she lawyer up? Why was she, when she was pointing the finger at him, why would she lawyer up? That's what I'm trying to understand. If law enforcement is giving you every way out, don't talk, be careful what you say. Well, they didn't say don't talk, they just said be careful what you say and how it comes out of your mouth. And I understand that. That's respectfully the correct way to do it, is to write out what you're going to say before you say it. Kind of like Daniel did his first speech, right? About jumping in the truck and jumping in the culverts and wading through water and like Superman and Super Dad and flying around with his cape in waist deep water and screaming till his throat hurt, or till the kryptonite got him, I guess you can say. Said that over and over and over and over and over in the same way, the same fashion, the same pace, the same speed, word for word identical. That doesn't happen. Go back and listen to Gabby Petito's parents every time they talked, Riley Strand's parents every time they talked. See if they told the same story over and over again. See if they were able to get all the words out correctly. See if that at least once every 30 seconds in their speech, they didn't say their child's name. They did all that. And more. But most important of all, it was the speeches from the heart. From a heart that was broken. From a heart that was lost because they had one missing. And part of their family was missing. And you could see it in their face, in their words, in their language. You don't see that in this case. Just like you don't see that in Sebastian Rogers' case. You don't see that in Summer Wells' case, or Stephanie Darwin's case, or Nikki McCann, or Susan Simpson, or Harmony Montgomery, or she's still not located. There's so many more. 15 years it's been since, Harmony, how do you say that boy's last name? The little boy from the science fair. You know, sometimes people don't get caught right away for their horrible crimes they commit. But you know, I'm going to use this as a point because I have covered this case from day one and never done a video on it, I don't think, but one time. The Susan Morphy case, the one that always shocked me. Why? Because when this woman went missing, we went searching. And I have a buddy that lives in that area. And, well, about 10 miles from that area. But we went there, we searched, we looked. We went as far as the job site where Gary Morphy worked. We went all through those areas searching. And we spent some time. I think we spent about 10 days searching for Suzanne Morphy. And, you know, the first time they let him go, because they didn't have her found or located yet, it was a crush. It was a bad blow to justice for her. And you had the kids that were defending a father that law enforcement knew at the time, but had the hunch that he used that tranquilizer gun. And then once her body was located, thank God to that hiker, and they found in her bone marrow that after so many years, that tranquilizer medicine was still embedded in her marrow and her bones. I know what that is. I use it. I don't, but my family does. My family raises deer, and I know what that's like. I know how that works. It's basically designed to move them so they don't cause themselves to have a heart attack, stress. You know, deer are funny. They can pass away in a second. It's what's so crazy about it. Their heart can just stop. And to know that this woman was darted with a tranquilizer dart, which means she was basically, most likely, had somewhat knowledge that something was going on, but more like paralyzed in a way. And that's heartbreaking. And after giving 20 years to this man and raising these kids, putting up with this man for that long, you can tell by looking at his face he's a monster. I think everybody will agree to that. Now, his kids didn't see that in the beginning, but I think now, with the new evidence, they're going to have to see it now. And they're going to have to realize it. And it's going to crush their heart. It's going to break their heart. It's going to take it out and it's going to step on it. And they still might not believe it, because it is their father. But you know what? Suzanne, their mother, deserves justice. And she will get it this time around. Because of that particular reason right there. He was the only one in that entire area that had a license to carry that particular tranquilizer medicine. So you're going to tell me that somebody from out of the area that she never knew, this woman didn't harm a fly or make any enemies, is going to just randomly follow her on a bike in her own home area, turf, an area she rides her bike in all the time, and it just randomly happened to step off in those woods and tranquilize her for what reason? She didn't give anybody any reason. The new guy that she was seeing, that she was happy with. And yes, it's heartbreaking that she was going to leave this man and their family would crash and fall apart, but they would have healed. They would have healed. Yes, it would have taken time. But because this man could not bear for her to have another man that loved her, and for her to love someone else besides him, he snapped. And I think the clear video evidence was enough in the beginning to me to show his whereabouts and how he could have done it, and the timeline he could have done it in. And his stories never made sense in the beginning. A mountain lion, are you kidding me? They would have left so much DNA on the ground. That would have been an easy way, just like a bear attack. That would have been an easy way to show us that it was something different than what law enforcement thought. Because I think they always pointed, even his own buddies, family, friends of the daughters. I mean, still, the boyfriend of the daughter, I think, even thought that he could have done this. That's crazy. That's an outsider looking in, right? That's somebody that knows him but sees the other side. Somebody that was honest. That young man was very honest. And that's such a good thing. And yet, I mean, yeah, you can't testify against your girlfriend's dad. That would be pretty hard and rough to do if you really love this woman, right? Yeah, so you got to look at it that way. But yet, all in all, he still seemed to raise the red flag. And, I mean, enough about that. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm glad that there's going to be justice for Suzanne Morphy. I'm so glad. I think this time it'll stick. And you know, with everything and the way it's gone in this case and being so many years that have gone by without justice, it's going to make it that much more important. But like I tell you, all these cold cases are getting solved at a rapid rate. That's why I'm so excited for Sebastian Rogers' case. In about another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, let's see what we find out. And then Jack and Lily case, bless their little hearts, those little angels. They didn't deserve whatever happened. If they were put in a car or this, you know, there's a lot of stuff going around, but there's no proof of it. There's zero proof of it. And if there would have been proof of it, law enforcement would have done settled it. And there's so many wishy-washy things, like the search team lady thinking they're in the woods. I mean, to the investigators thinking they're not. This is two totally different opinions by different people that are working this case. But, you know, the search and rescue team is just a search and rescue team. They're the ones that have been in these woods. They're the ones that see a difference in this case. For some reason, she sees a difference in this case than investigators see. Why, I wonder? I don't know why. I really don't know why. I mean, I would like to know the honest results of the lie detectors, because I don't think he passed. From what I was told, he didn't pass. But now, I don't know, because it's something that is not really going to be used in a court of law, so it's not going to matter. But, I mean, Ted Bundy passed a lie detector test, right? And he wasn't the brightest pea in the pod. So I just don't see another brightest pea, non-brightest pea in the pod passing it either. Especially when he says he was nervous. Why are you nervous? Why would you be nervous if you were the one begging for it? You should have been confident. Should have been no problem. Hook me up, man. Let me get me out the way. But, you know, him asking for it up front, him doing all this, they look at it differently. They looked at that test differently. I can guarantee you they looked at the results differently in this test. And I can almost bet you, every dime I got in my account, that first question they asked him wasn't that. Because that gives them, that would be pointless to do the test. I don't think any lie detector person that does tests for a living would answer that question in that manner and say, yeah, the first question we asked him was the most important one. No, that's not how they do it. And I think we all have common sense in that. But this guy just doesn't believe that people have common sense or that have knowledge of the law. I think he thinks he's above the law, and he's done nothing but try to prove his innocence in every way, shape, or form. And instead of worrying about where the kids are, that's been his focus, just like the Proudfoots. That was their focus. Just like Summer Wells' parents, that was their focus. Just like Stephanie Darwood's dad, that was his focus. His focus was to clear themselves early on. But why did they need to do this? If they were innocent, you don't need to prove your innocence. Your innocence is there. It's when you're guilty that you try to prove your innocence. How many normal people that are telling the truth out here run around and act like that? They don't. They're like, find my damn kid. Are they doing a good job? No, hell no, they're not doing a good job. My kids aren't home. They're doing a shitty job. I wish we had better law enforcement. I wish we had better search and rescuers. I mean, that's what parents, when their kids aren't located after this much time, should be saying. Or doing something differently, getting out there on their own and searching. Building their own search teams, like Seth Rogers did. A dad that didn't back down. That didn't care about what people think about him. He could give a damn less what we say about him. So you haven't heard Seth Rogers out here right? He was just asked a question by Nancy Grace and said yes because he had nothing to hide. But law enforcement didn't even test Seth Rogers. There's a reason for that. Because they have his whereabouts. The other ones don't have no whereabouts. The other ones don't have no alibi. They're the ones trying to build their alibi. They're the ones that were started from day one trying to build their alibi. They're the ones that haven't begged for him. They haven't begged for Sebastian. His father has. Seth Rogers has. But they haven't. Stepdad and mom haven't begged for their son. They're living their normal life, eating barbecue, enjoying life, riding motorcycles. They're doing their dreams. With no kids. No faith either. Doesn't look like. Which is what I thought. I didn't think that he would be allowed. If they would let Faith stay with him, they would be absolutely crazy people. But you know what? The difference is he was fighting to get Faith, right? He was in the process of that. Daniel didn't even get to that process. He hadn't got to go to court to fight for Meadow yet, or the other kids or whatever. He hasn't had that option yet, but yet he can't see Meadow at all. Not without someone present. Not without scheduled visitation. Y'all realize how important that is? Scheduled visitation. Which means somebody's going to be there monitoring him with his own child. Why go to this extreme if he's innocent? Explain that to us, buddy. Why would they strip you of your rights before you had a chance to fight for them? Why would they tell you you can't see your kid unless somebody else is there? Like a guard or someone of that nature. To watch you like a hawk while you see your child. It's not even walking yet. Yeah, I think that's pretty odd, right, guys? It is pitch dark out here, isn't it? Well, there's a little light over there, but not much one. But, you know, the whole point is, a lot of people are speculating. I say just wait and see what happens. I think people are speculating so bad because they're so scared that another case is going to turn into Sebastian and Summer Wells. And I think that there's a possibility that we're on that path. There's nothing promising about this case yet. There's no promising leads. There's no sightings. There's no camera footage that we are aware of. I mean, here it is, another, but this time it was 2 children that aren't old enough to run away. They don't know the meaning of running away. They're too little. But yet, they wandered off in the woods in less than 20 minutes and vanished in 20 minutes to within 30, 40 minutes to an hour. They made it over 2.5 miles. Out of the sight of drones. No. Not in those woods. I've never thought those kids are in those woods. I don't think anybody thinks anymore that those kids are in those woods. A lot of people think that the mother hid these children. That is a very slim possibility. You know, I'm going to say probably 30, 40% in my opinion. Which these are all my opinions. But, you know, my opinion, allegedly, I don't think they ever wandered out that sliding door, period. Much less in the woods. What reason would they have? What was the reasoning behind, you know, was Daniel being abusive that morning and that's why they walked out, but no dogs picked them up? Right? Some people say that this man punished these children in ways that he shouldn't have. And I don't know if that's true. But I'm sure the mother has spelled everything out. Because part of me does believe that that mother is a witness. And a lot of people might have to change their opinions later on. But then again, I could be wrong as heck, and I probably am. But to me, the silence, the lawyering up, the pointing the finger at Daniel, whatever she did to convince CPS to not let him see his own blood child is beyond me. It looks to me like she had to have some form of proof. CPS not just going to take a man's rights without proof. Think about that. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't have taken Summer Wells' brothers without some kind of evidence. They took those boys because they had some kind of evidence. And in this case, they took Meadow from him, stripped him of all his rights of his own child before he was granted them for a reason. They have some kind of proof. Think about that. As much as we say CPS fails kids all the time, which they do, you really think in this case that they're going to do this? This is a big move for CPS. This is something you don't hear of very often. We haven't really heard of this since Summer Wells. Since the Summer Wells case, it's about the last time we've heard of something similar. Like, not allowing to see the kids, right? Which in this case, yes, he's the stepfather to Jack and Lily, but he's the father to Meadow. And so his blood child has been taken from him with only visitation scheduled. And that hasn't even happened yet. And Father's Day done came and gone. So make that make sense. Is he ever going to get to see him? He said it was scheduled. But schedules are known to change based on lie detector tests. And even after the lie detector test, he still hasn't been granted rights. So if he did well in his lie detector test, wouldn't you think that they would have been like, okay, maybe we're wrong. He can see Meadow, at least now, on Father's Day, saying that he took the test before Father's Day, which he says he did. If he took the test before Father's Day, then why didn't he get to see her? If he passed, like he says. They don't tell you if you pass or fail. They might point you a thumbs up, but that doesn't mean you passed. That means you're okay, you did good, you finished. Doesn't mean that you passed. It doesn't mean you failed. It just helps them with the investigation is all it does. And a lot of times people won't take lie detector tests. I get it, because they're scared that it can be wrong, right? Because there is no guarantee. If there was a guarantee, proven, cold hard proof, a way to be 100% proof, then yeah, it would hold up in the court of law. And are they accurate? I believe they are. But I think that, when Ted Bundy took his, of course, it was a long time ago. They were still learning the process, learning how to really do it. Like now, with all the new technology, the down to your sweat, right? They got the science down. And if the company that I'm hearing did these tests, it's a very reputable company. It's the company actually I was going to use. One of their divisions, when I had offered the profits, that I would pay for their test, remember? And that's what I'm hearing. And if that's the case, they're really good. But the only thing about it is, they don't ever give results. Only law enforcement gets the results. And it usually takes 3 to 5 business days for them to grade it. So for him to leave that test and say in the same day that he took it, he passed is bullshit. To say that he's no longer a suspect is BS. Because until these children, I guess he doesn't understand how this works. He's trying to defy all odds and clear himself in his own mind to where he can convince the public that he's innocent. And we'll be the judges of that. Because in our mind, we don't look at it as, did you take a test or not? We look at the overall facts in front of us and the overall lies that we can prove that are lies. And you notice that grandma, bio grandma, didn't say one thing about him? Y'all notice that? that the bio grandmother of Jack and Lily Sullivan, that talked so highly of Malaya, did not say one thing about this man. Not one. That's scary. It's I think because of the hurt in her heart, she sees that this man's being blamed by Malaya. We know she's on Malaya's side. Not necessarily supporting her now 100%, but as far as she feels that she was a good mother, she got to witness this, so she would know that better than us. But she didn't say one thing about Daniel. Not one. I was completely shocked. Because everybody else in that town's talking about him and talking about what a bad person he is and how he's been in trouble since he was little, and him and his brother both. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know their life. I don't know that. I never even knew who they were until this case, just like all of us, really. We don't know why he lives out there in the middle of nowhere and works one day a week, and his house has been labeled as a narcotics house and trigger warning sounds 100 million. And we don't know why all these things are happening. We don't know how he's affording to take care of a family on a 1 day a week salary. That can't be more than probably a couple $100 after taxes. What are you looking at, $150 to take care of 5 or 7, as you said? How is that possible? It's not possible. There's just no way in this day and time that you can have cars, insurance, medical insurance, cell phones, cable, electricity, food for the children, clothing, school, education, doctors, medicines, all these things, cars, and I mean everything, a roof over your head, groceries. How can you do that on $150 to $200 a week? You tell me how in God's name you can do that. That's the question I want answered. Because there's no way you can possibly live on 1 day a week. Even if you lived off the grid, like Stephanie Darman's family, and you had no running water, no power, just a generator you could throw some gas in every now and then to get light, then maybe you could buy enough groceries to feed that many people. I don't know. I mean, we know that Daniel's one that lives off the land kind of type, right? Like he hunts and fishes and all that stuff, but that doesn't get all the necessities for your children that you need, like stuff for them to take baths and have proper hygiene and get the doctor's treatment they needed for their autism. And you can't do that on that little 1 day a week pay. So was this man some stepdad hero? Hell no. He worked 1 day a week, guys. So what did he do the other 6 days a week? That's what I want to know. What did he do every single day? Because he sure does seem to have nice vehicles with leather, right? And a four-wheeler, some play toys, like all on that little bitty $150. I mean, if you just take, for instance, we'll just give him a $200 that he makes on that day, which I don't believe that, but just say 200. Okay, that's $800 a month minus taxes, $600 a month, just give or take. $550 to $600 a month he's bringing home. Okay? Most of us spend that in a day, all right? Be honest. Most of us, our electric bill is that much, right? Heaven forbid. I mean, most people know the electric bill's high, especially in the summer months. But I just feel that how do you call yourself a man and a provider doing that? And then now you're in the spotlight and you've done nothing but try to clear yourself only since the start of this. But that first day that you screamed till your voice hurt, ran through the water waist deep, traveling through the woods, checking the culverts, driving every dirt road, everywhere they could have possibly been in 10 minutes, you covered, and you ain't done jack squat since. But you tell us you're going to search every day for the rest of your life. You sound like the Proudfoots, buddy. Exactly what they said. And almost the exact same way. Phew, this guy's been watching too much true crime, ain't it? Because he's too worried about social media, and he tells us that. I'm worried about speculation, and so he's worried about social media. He's on all these sites, and I don't give a damn if he's on mine. Answer me that question. You want to call yourself a man? Why in God's name do you only work 1 day a week? And why in God's name would you give your bank statements and all that stuff up front instead of spending that time to look for your kids or your stepkids? You're sitting here trying to clear yourself, and why would you kick your own wife and daughter off the property? That makes no sense. You kick them off. You tell us your family kicks them off, but yet you say that she blocks you and she left. It made no sense. Like, I think this was all a bigger picture. This was a bigger picture of, this is a woman that's been trying to get away from this damn Crackville, trigger warning, trailer house that she was living in with her kids, which those kids had no business in that environment. Not with autism, not with special needs. They did not. No. She failed them as a mother too. I don't care. It's the truth. You know, your kids get one shot in life. I say this a lot. Your kids get one shot in life. It's what we pay. It's the way that we pay for them. Right? You know, another case that really just happened recently, okay? Two parents that were going above and beyond to work and provide for their kids and give them the best life possible. And all these Olympic dreams and all these things they were working towards for their children. And Elisa, remember? Y'all know who I'm talking about. We covered her quite a bit. The one that just magically ran off to the bus stop and vanished into thin air. She was, what, 16, 15, young girl. 5 weeks later, she walked into that Colorado Police Department. You know, now she's back home with her family. Her parents were just like Kaylee Gonzalez's parents. They dug so hard at everything. They didn't wait for law enforcement. They did it on their own. That father, being a tech guy, was creating and pulling everything he could pull to give the law enforcement to locate his child. So all they did was fight to bring her home. And they brought her home safely, too. Might not be mentally safe, but she'll get there. There's no telling what she went through in that 6 weeks' time. But it's a point of how they fought to get their daughter home when they feared the worst. They feared the worst, and they had every right to fear the worst. And they still fought and fought and fought and fought. I mean, you're talking about parents that discovered a hidden iPad of their daughter. Like, these parents were going above and beyond to find their daughter. You don't see that here. You see a mom that, so what if she got kicked out of the property? Yeah, you kick me off the property, and I'm going to stand right there on that road, and I'm going to be out there searching every day. There's a reason she's not searching. She knows the truth. Just like Daniel knows the truth. Unless she really pulled the rug right out from under him. And she was able to get these kids out of that home and get them out of there before he knew it, or before he woke up, or before he saw it. That's the only other thing. But then why lie? Why so many lies? Why so many trying to create your innocence? Why? That's what doesn't make sense to me. And then why lie about a lie detector test? Why tell us the first question they ask you is the most important question on the lie detector test that usually would have been towards the middle or the end? I think you can ask anyone right now, honestly. You could probably ask Siri on your iPhone. if they're going to ask you the toughest question first in a lie detector test, and that's going to determine if how they learn about your lying and truth pattern. No, they're going to ask you simple name, date of birth, favorite color, stupid stuff to get you at least 2 or 3 questions in the bag of knowing when you're telling the truth and when you're lying. And then they will shock you with that question, but not the first question they ask you. Man, I tell you right now, if they ask him that question first, then not only are they looking at him, they already got an arrest warrant in his name, just hadn't executed it yet. If that's the question they ask him first, that's how I see it. You know, I mean, I look at it this way. If he'd have done well, oh, the blue's starting to crack in the sky. All right. But, you know, I will work soon. But last day, and then I go on days off, so we'll be good. We'll be good. You know, we got some world search. We got a lot of. We're gonna be busy, but we're gonna make it work. We're still gonna cover these cases. We're still gonna search for Sebastian, and we're gonna do a half day search for Susan Simpson again. Still got people out there looking for Nikki McCann. I think they know more now with that Apple Watch. Finding that in the fire pit, letting us know that information. I think they got enough to get him and take down all of them. I think they will. I think they're just being very careful about it. And I don't blame him. I think this Karen Reed trial is going to wake up a lot of courthouses. That they're going to have to make sure that they get the evidence secured early on and they write down every single thing that's said. And, you know, she cheated the system. She got away with it. No matter what, she knows in her mind. She's got to live with that the rest of her life. And karma, I know karma's a pain. Y'all know how karma is. Karma is a you know what. And I think karma will come. John Ortiz is going to get justice somehow. I think the civil suits, I think that they will win the civil suits against her hands down, just like an O.J. Simpson. I think Karen Reed will be, she's going to pay them. I hope they wait for her to do her book deal to where she kind of gets some of the money back from losing all this money in court, and then they hit her with whatever she made on the book deal. That way she makes no money. That would be kind of a good karma, right? Let her rake in that money and then hit her. Hit her hard. And take it all. Leave her with nothing. Just like she left John Ortiz, those kids, with no father figure. She did that. I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me that she didn't. I know I didn't cover the case much because of all the drama and the Kool-Aid and all the crap. That's why I didn't cover it. But the sad thing is a police officer lost his life. And not only was he a police officer, he was a hero of a man. He had stepped in for his sister's kids, right? People didn't look at that. It wasn't talked about enough in the court to me that these kids were without a parent again. This mother, John Ortiz's mother, lost another child before herself, had to bury another child before herself. And then Karen Reed had the audacity to get up there on national TV and whatever interview that was and talk so badly about John's mother. It's just, to me, if you can have a life after that and people will look at you and support you after the way you treated that family, that's disgusting. Sorry, hate me if you want to. I don't care. It's disgusting. The evidence was there. It was clear. I think if you stopped about all the drama and really looked at, okay, how else would the tail light have gotten broken? How else would he have got cuts on his arm? Why would he have tail light glass embedded in his shirt and his skin? I mean, common sense tells you. The cell phone told it all. The battery temperature of the cell phone told us exactly what happened. She hit him with that car. He laid there and his phone got colder and colder and colder and colder and colder. And it's heartbreaking that she walked because of money. But you know, it's okay. Karma comes back. I think bad. I mean, we'll see, but I believe karma's coming. I hate to be the one to say it, but I'm just, you know, I just know how it works. I mean, look at Barry Morphy. I hope I'm saying that last name correct. I think I am, but it's Morphy, I think. But, you know, this man has got away with this since, what, 2020? She was found in 2023 by a hiker. a woman that just wanted to get away from this man and start her life over. And everything was hers. She was the money. She was the breadwinner. She was the one with the money. And then he does that to her, and then sells the property, gets all the profits, all the money, running off with his girlfriend. But now what? I think you've seen his face. If you saw his face when his little black t-shirt and his shorts on and that little court thing the other day, I think you can clearly tell by his expressions and tones that he's caught this time. He's just, yep, real simple, real quiet, not talking like he was the first time, not back there trying to make friends, just simple words of fear. That's what it is, simple words of fear, like, okay, they got me. That's it, that's what I saw. Ask him about, you want to waive your rights? Well, I don't know if y'all watched that, but I did, and I was just wanting to see his demeanor, and you can tell by his actions this time that he knows he's caught. I think that the evidence will be clear. They've given him time to blow some of this money, right? And now, because we know he wasn't good at saving money, and now you got to worry about, he's got to worry about now how to explain that he's the only one in that area with the license to carry that particular tranquilizer. So yeah, I think Nancy Grace hit it on the head in day one when she said he did it. Yeah, it's just going to be hard on those children, because no matter what, I think in the back of their mind they've always wondered, I'm sure they've had to always wonder, did Dad do it? I'm sure they've always thought that, regardless of if they say it or not. I'm sure that they've thought about it. It's crossed their mind, put it that way. And I know they love their father. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they shouldn't love their father. But the thing is, when the truth comes out, how will they feel? Will they still support him, or will they be, finally, it's time to support Mom? You know, she was cheated out of life. We lost our mom because of our dad, right? Is that going to come out? I don't know. And I mean, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. He could win just like Karen Reed won. It might be the new norm. I don't know. I know it's not justice, but it's, you know, we have to trust the system. And the thing is, to me, as I've always said, jurors should be 40 years old or older. I'm sorry. To me, 60, 70 is where the jurors should be. The ones that have the good knowledge of growing through life and spotting truth and lies a little easier than most. That's the kind of jurors you need. Older and wiser. Ones that have been through the justice system or understand the justice system, right? Things like that. Retired judges, you know, counselors, prosecutors, DAs. That's kind of people that, to me, should be on jurors. People that understand the law and understand evidence, right? A lot of these young generations, they just believe what they see on TV, and it's sad. Because if you're to believe this Jack and Lily case right now, you're thinking, okay, Mom's on the run. She has Meadow. She don't. She has Jack and Lily. She's running. She's not running anywhere. I mean, honestly, had she run at all? Daniel told us his family kicked her off the property. So with that, she never ran to begin with. And if you look it up on law enforcement website, it tells you it's just suspicion. There's no proof that she ran off. Now, does somebody have a secret and know that, yes, she's on the run and she has Jack? If that's the case, then why haven't they found her? And why are Jack and Lily? Because if she had took off on the run with them kids, don't think they ain't got her cell phone tapped. Come on, guys. This is 2025. They took their phones for a reason. They put bugs in them. They put chips in them. They know what's going on. They're not dumb. They don't think that they ain't they've never cleared these pans. So, of course, they're doing any way, means of forms to track them. Their vehicles probably got bugs on them. I mean, this is 2025. I mean, the things that y'all watch in the first 48 are the things that really happen. And I'm sorry, but they do track these people's vehicles and cell phones and things of this nature. They can keep taps and bugs and wires in there for years if they need to. Now it's a little different nowadays. And it's just a sad thing is that some of these cases get solved so quickly and then others just drag on, right? And you just have to wonder. It seems like the rural area ones, the ones that happen in these rural areas are the harder ones to solve. Kind of like, you know, of course, Susan Morphy. She was in Colorado in the mountains. Like, it was very rural. She had a few neighbors, but, you know, the neighbors knew something was wrong because they knew her routine, but everything was suspicious in that, just like in this case, just like all these cases that we're covering are all suspicious. But down deep, what do we think happened here? All we really can say for a fact is Jack and Lily Sullivan are missing. They still haven't been found. They still haven't been located. They vanished in thin air, and that doesn't happen. These kids don't vanish on their own. If they were in those woods, they would have been found. And I think their boots, backpacks, something would have been found if they would have been in those woods. And clearly, if you listen to Daniel in that thing, he says, they know now the kids aren't in the woods. And then he go listen to it. And then he tries to change what he said, but it's too late, and he just lets it ride. He clearly stated that they know those kids aren't in the woods. He said that in his own words. And I know a lot of people, I don't know if they've caught it yet or not, but he clearly told that lady straight out. They know now they're not in the woods. Okay, well, I thought you said they were in the woods, buddy. I don't know. What are you trying to tell us? Because the search lady, rescue team leader over there is thinking they are in the woods. Investigators are saying, only thing they're saying, honestly, the only thing they're saying is they are 100% confident that it's not an abduction. That's pretty much what they're saying. So if they're saying it's not an abduction, then it's either a planned abduction, which means the mother had somebody pick them up and get them out of there so she could save her kids from the abuse, or, and that's what we're looking at, which is more along the lines, would make more sense of why they would strip this man of his rights of meadow. Maybe he is abusive. Maybe she had proof of this. Maybe she had photos on her phone. We don't know. Maybe she had pictures of Jack and Lily with bruises, right? Jack had a big scar on his, scab on his face on that one picture. Right on his chin. Took a hard fall, it looks like. And I know kids will fall and get hurt. It happens. I'm not saying that, but CPS is involved in this case, and we know that. And it's been involved in these kids' lives before. It's evidently that's not the first time CPS was at that trailer house. Now, I'm not going to say that's I'll just say it's 98%. How about that? I'm not going to say it's 100. But I think the pattern shows, right? These kids were, evidently they were sick, supposedly. Lily was sick, Jack wasn't. Why was Lily? We can understand why Lily wasn't going to school, but why was Jack not going to school? You know, you should still allow Jack to go to school. Why are you going to punish him if he's not sick, right? And the biggest thing to me is the sleeping, right? There's no breakfast being made for these kids. There's no get up, brush your teeth, let's get ready for the day. There's no let me put on some cartoons. Here's some milk, here's some orange juice, here's your vitamins, here's your medicine, Lily, for being sick, cough medicine, whatever. None of that was talked about. But yet, she called the school at 6 in the morning to report the kids weren't coming to school. Right? What's up with the 6 in the morning stuff? Sebastian Rogers, 6 in the morning. Jack and Lily, 6 in the morning, called into school. Who calls into school at 6 in the morning? I mean, you wake up to feed the baby at 6 in the morning and just figured you'd called in? But did you wake them up like, you know, some people are out here are saying that mom did. Mom did go in there at 6 a.m. to check on them. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the hardest thing is the timeline in this, because we don't have accurate 100% times. The only time that I can go by is the time that the mother said to the guy that was there, that was relaying back to the other main police officers, the first one that was there, that said they were last seen in their room at 8 a.m. So that means somebody saw them at 8 a.m. Who? Because Daniel said he saw Lily twice. As late as what, 9:30 in the morning? But then 10 minutes later, you call law enforcement? That don't, I mean, 8:30, and you say you immediately panicked and called 911, but if you noticed they were missing at 8, you called into school at 6, okay, 8 a.m., and you're in a panic and you call immediately. That means that by 8:05, 8:10, you'd have been calling law enforcement. Why wait till so long to call them? Almost 10 in the morning. That's not calling somebody right away. That's not acting immediately. That's not walking outside, shouting their name a couple of times, and then going in and calling 911 because you're in a panic. That doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. The timeline is not lining up. And the thing is that they don't release, like, the 911 calls. They don't release, like, in all these other cases here in America, we get to hear that 911 call to better understand the case. That it explains more of it. I wonder what this 911 call is about. Wonder what was said. Was it both of them? Or was it just her? Supposedly it's just her. He was out riding around, wading through waist-deep, chest-deep water. That he came back dry as a bone, right? But yet he waded through water, but his shoes are dry as a bone. When he's standing there at the four-wheeler, talking to an investigator. It's freaking, I mean, it makes no sense, man. Just none of it makes sense. That's why we can pray for truth. Daylight is coming. The birds are starting to sing this morning. It's God's day today, Sunday. So with that said, y'all have a wonderful Sunday morning. We love y'all guys. We appreciate y'all all the time. Thank y'all so much for being patient during this medical process. And I'll find out tomorrow. He had said 7 more days last Monday. So I hope tomorrow I get the full release. To go back, because I am chomping at the bit. I've done a few small searches locally to keep, Ruby running, but it hasn't been the same. It's been really hard, and it's going to take a lot of starting over, but that's okay. We'll get there. There's too many little kids out there missing that need us, so we have to get better and get out there. And, there's a lot coming up, but with that said, I pray that Jack and Lily are found and the truth comes out. I think, at least in my opinion, I think they both know. At least Daniel knows, in my opinion, where these kids are, if mom doesn't. I think they both know something. I think that the mom's dealing with it in her own way, but she could be the sneaking mom that got her. Are we going to hate her if she got her kids away from an abusive stepfather? Are we going to hate her? We're going to be upset at the way she did it. But we're never going to be mad at a mother for protecting her children. I can tell you that. We won't be mad at that. We might be mad at the way it was done, but we won't be mad at a mother protecting her kids. And it's just, I don't know, it's sad. It's sad that 2 more little children are lost in this world. It's so big. And they're just going missing in the weirdest places. Weirdest places. And the timelines are all, like, messed up, but yet all these timelines start around 6 or 6:30, either in the morning or in the evening. And it's weird to think about, but think about that. It's usually 6:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, somewhere around in there that these cases are transpiring between 6 and 6:30, whether it be AM or PM. And it's so strange to me. It's like, is the true crime world helping these people, plan these things? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but something here is not right. And as heartbreaking as it is, I pray that, the truth will come out. I think usually the one that tries to fight for the innocence usually has some guilt. And I guess we'll see that, maybe one day we'll see the truth, maybe, hopefully we'll get the truth out of here. It's just like the Travis Decker case. They're looking for a needle, and they're looking for a grain of sand in the Sahara Desert. And I said it from, I've only done a few videos on Travis Decker, but I think I talked about it in the broken one. It's not impossible to find them, but it's hard. And their training and their experience. Look at the people they have doing this. Look at who they've brought in. You can tell that this is somebody that's not stupid. This is somebody that can vanish out there and stay hidden with the bears and the critters and not be seen. I don't think he's out there anymore. I think that he most likely probably took his own life right after whatever happened to happen, if it all comes down to that. But the DNA at the site has just thrown me off, and they're not talking about that. But, was that male blood, was it his or was it someone else's, right? That's going to be something huge. And then the animal one. Why was there animal one there? That's kind of weird, unless, maybe they camped one night there and had a fire and ate, and I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I just know that this is a mother that lost all 3 of her babies. I cannot imagine. My sincere condolences to that mother and family. She's broken. He was broken, and he broke her worse. She will never recover from this. It doesn't matter. When you take a mother's 3 children, my God. I mean, what does she have left to live for, honestly? To help others, yeah, that's something that can come out of this. But lo and behold, she's going to be broken forever. There's no healing for her. There's not a day that's going to go by that she's not going to think about her babies. 3 of them. Oh, this is just the tragedy of all tragedies. This is just like the Idaho 4 almost. There's 3 babies. A mother's whole life right there. That's her little bird nest, right? That's how I look at it. My grandma used to always say it's like a little bird nest. And, this is her 3. Oh, I just can't. It's just so hard to talk about these 3 little angels. I have 2 girls. I can't. Oh, my God. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I pray that they get answers. Nothing's going to bring them back. There's no fixing that. But, of course, locating him will be a sense of closure a little bit. Can you imagine if he's never found? If he's never located, it's going to be a shock to the world, right? And there is a possibility. It gets bigger every day. Every day that goes by and he's not found, it becomes bigger. Because at this point, this many days gone now, the buzzard's already over and done if he took his own life. Like, you're not going to find that anymore. Been too long. I think he would be within 5 miles of that campsite. And that's my opinion. He might have crawled off in a hole or a cave somewhere and done it. But I think he's at the end of his rope, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. It's heartbreaking to hear him talk to the judges like that and say, oh, it doesn't affect my time with my kids and then this happens, right? If this confirms to 100% be the father that did this, which I think they're pretty confident in that, but if they have the proof to show that he 100% did this, then, you have to stand behind the proof, the evidence, right? And if that's the case, yeah, it's a tragedy, and it's a tragedy no matter what, but it's even worse if it's the father. Because, this is a woman that had already lost her husband, right? Pretty much. Because of war. Nothing she ever did, just because of war. She lost her husband. That gave her 3 beautiful children. And then not only that, she lost her 3 beautiful children. And now he's supposedly on the run. I just cannot imagine what's going through her head every day. Does she think he's coming for her? Does she, I'm going to wonder, what is she thinking in her mind? I pray to God she has support to get through this. This is truly a tragedy. But anyway, guys, with that said, we touched a little bit on everything, but mainly Jack and Lily. I get it. This case is bugging me. But I did want to talk about Gary Morphy, and I did want to talk about Travis Decker's, kids a little bit, and just kind of just kind of talk about it a little bit. Sometimes it helps to talk about it, although it's a tragedy. We need to understand that, what can we learn from these things? We have to find something positive in it to make it justified in a way of, can something good come out of this? Something so bad and so heartbreaking. Can something, at least a little shadow of hope, come out of this to where somebody else's life can maybe be saved so this doesn't happen again, right? There's so many things that we got to look at. But, another thing, guys, the mosquitoes are so horrible. And I've been spraying that off yard cutter stuff, and they're still everywhere. It's insane how many mosquitoes are around all this rain. Hate to change the subject, but y'all get what I'm saying. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Daylight's cracking means I got to get on the road. But y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Have a good, happy holiday. a happy God's Day. And we'll see y'all later on tonight. Might get a dry day, maybe. It's been raining every day. I think people in Texas understand that it's every day it's been raining. And then there was a bad tornado, I think yesterday, up in the Panhandle area. It's been some really scary weather. We did get a little hail the other night. We didn't get no tornado, thank goodness, but we did get some hail. So it was really different to see hail in the summertime like this. Oh, never mind. Speaking of the devil, it's sprinkling right now. Golly, I just felt the drop. Yep, another one just hit my phone screen. All right, guys. Anyway, y'all have a blessed one. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we are a big-hearted little family. Trigger warnings times 100 million always. And remember, allegedly, these are just my opinions, my thoughts, my theories, my speculation, my free speech. I'm entitled to my thoughts, my free speech, and I'm going to use it. And with that said, just remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, guilty, guilty in the court of law. Some people get away with things. It happens sometimes. I think we witnessed that. But down deep, they have to live with it. Down deep, they have to look themselves in the mirror. Down deep, when they get ready to leave this world, they got to answer to that. Right? That's where it really comes into play, is when you're on that bed at the end, the only way to get over even maybe have a chance of God forgiving you, you got to truly be sorry, and you got to admit to your fault, admit to your guilt. And it happens a lot more than people know, but those cases aren't really talked about, those cold cases. There's about 7 or 8 of them. And I've been wanting to do a video on it, how people confess at the end of their life, when they're on their bed getting ready to go, they started confessing, and then on what they did to try to ask God for forgiveness. And it's crazy. But it happens a lot more than we know. It just doesn't get talked about. And then, okay, about the little girl that was found alive. I'm not getting much of this yet because I haven't had a chance to research it. But I don't know, this mom evidently had dropped her child off somewhere and she was found wandering. And now the mom, I think, is going to go down for it. I need to check on that one a little bit more. I've been working on the one with the little boy that vanished from the science fair about 15 years ago, because there's some new stuff emerging about the stepmother. That 90-minute timeline that she has that she doesn't have any alibi for. A lot can happen in 90 minutes. Think about Sebastian Rogers happened in less than 3 minutes. A lot can happen in 90 minutes. A lot. I've always felt that she was involved. She seemed to be one of those that wanted her husband to herself. And there's some of them like that. And that's what I see from it. I don't think it's anybody random. I don't think it's any stranger. I think it's that stepmother, and that's just my opinion to it. But I've been working on a little thing for that. And, of course, Maddie Soto stuff. Hey, man, is Jen going to go to jail? That's going to be the new video. Oh, my gosh, I think she is going to fall. There's some stuff coming out that I'm getting from some buddies. Oh, my God, it's raining harder. Dang it, I thought I was under the tree enough that I wasn't going to get too wet. But every time I talk about Sebastian... I started talking about Sebastian and started sprinkling. I don't know what it is. We're still looking. We're still searching. But anyway, with that said, guys, y'all have a good morning. We love y'all, guys. We'll talk soon about some of these other cases. I'm going to find some time after work to do 3 or 4 videos on some new stuff. I just need to spray again before I do it because the mosquitoes are horrible. Y'all can see them buzzing around right now. They're going to carry me off. Anyway, with that said, guys, keep them all in our prayers. All the runaways run for a reason. All the missing, they're missing for a reason. Keep them in our thoughts. Keep them in our prayers. It's important. Power of prayer is good. Oh, lights just went out. All right, floodlights are out. That means morning is here. Birds are flying. Raindrops are falling on my head. There's a song I think used to be, raindrops are falling on my head. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, y'all be good, be safe. Say your prayers. We'll talk soon. We love all y'all. Y'all have such a good day. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.